Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Kalmeta here with CWW7 News. And for today's broadcast, I wanted to bring you up to date concerning some headlines that have occurred in the last few days. I'd like to touch base with the United States, Russia, Ukraine, as well as Venezuela, India, Iran, and China. So yes, we have a lot to discuss today. And I'd like to take you to this first report from Reuters. And they are reporting that two Russian nuclear-capable bombers flew to Venezuela, which could anger the United States. Two Russian strategic bomber aircraft capable of carrying nuclear weapons has landed in Venezuela, a show of support for Venezuela's socialist government that has infuriated Washington. The Tu-160 supersonic bombers, known as White Swans, landed at the airport on Monday after covering more than 6,200 miles. Their deployment came days after the Venezuelan president, whose left-wing administration is the most significant U.S. foe in Latin America, held talks with President Putin in Moscow. As OPEC member Venezuela's socialist-run economy implodes, Russia has become a key lender of the last resort, investing in its oil industry and providing support to its military. It goes on further to report that capable of carrying short-range nuclear missiles, the planes can fly over 7,500 miles without refueling and have landed in Venezuela twice before in the last decade. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo stated on Twitter, Russia's government has sent bombers halfway around the world to Venezuela. The Russian and Venezuelan people should see this for what it is: two corrupt governments squandering public funds and squelching liberty and freedom while their people suffer. However, the Kremlin on Tuesday rejected Pompeo's criticism, saying it was highly undiplomatic and completely inappropriate. As for the idea that we are squandering money, we do not agree. It's not really appropriate for a country half of whose defense budget could feed the whole of Africa to be making such statements. Russia's defense ministry, which said the bombers had been accompanied by two other Russian military planes, did not say if the planes were carrying missiles, how long they would stay for, or what their mission was. Russia has used them in the past to flex its military muscles under the nose of the United States, delighting Venezuelan officials who have cast such flights as evidence it is able to defend itself, with their allies' help, from any attack. Maduro frequently invokes the possibility of a U.S. invasion in the South American nation, a notion that U.S. President Trump's administration denies. The Venezuelan foreign minister called Pompeo's comments not only disrespectful, but cynical, highlighting the number of military bases the United States owns abroad. It's strange that the U.S. government questions our right to cooperate on defense and security with other countries when President Trump publicly threatens us with military invasion. It goes on finally to report that Maduro said the talks with Putin in Moscow this month yielded Russian investment in Venezuela's oil and gold sectors. The Russian defense minister told his Venezuelan counterpart at the time that such long-range flights provided pilots with excellent experience and helped maintain the plane's combat readiness. Meanwhile, Fox News is reporting 2 weeks after Russia fired on and seized 3 Ukrainian vessels in the contested Kerch Strait, satellite images show that additional forces may be headed to the region. In the images taken just last Saturday, 3 Russian 76 cargo planes were spotted in an airbase in Crimea. According to social media reports in Russia, 4 Il-76 planes departed on December 6 from Anapa Airport and landed in Zoinkoye. One of those airplanes returned Saturday to Anapa while the 3 remained on base. The Ilyushin-76 cargo planes are used by the Russian army to deliver outsized or heavy cargo unable to be carried on the ground. The cargo planes are also used for mobilizing large number of troops. The base of the elite unit of the Russian airborne troops, the 7th Guards Mountain Air Assault Division, is located not far from Anapa. The division's troops participated in the last round of violence between Ukraine and Russia in August 2014, in addition to the fighting in Syria. The Il-76 was spotted in the same airbase where the 4th S-400 surface-to-air missile battery was deployed. The mobile S-400 missile has a range of up to 250 miles and can climb to an altitude of almost 19 miles. It's intended to bring down a variety of aerial threats, from aircraft to cruise and ballistic missiles. It goes on further to report that the apparent troop buildup comes as Ukraine's defense ministry warned on Friday that it will soon send naval ships through the Kerch Strait. Ukraine has responded to the actions by Russia by introducing martial law for 30 days, a measure Ukraine did not take even after Crimea's annexation and amid large-scale fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russia-backed separates in 2014 and 2015. As part of the martial law, Ukraine has beefed up its forces on the border with Russia and called for reservists for training. The Ukrainian defense minister told reporters on Friday that his country intends to send naval ships through the Kerch Strait soon, saying that otherwise Russia will occupy the Sea of Azov. Meanwhile, a U.S. Air Force jet carried out a rare observation flight over Ukraine just last week to reaffirm the United States' commitment to Ukraine. The U.S. Department of Defense has taken a clear stance over the ongoing tensions between Moscow and Ukraine. The U.S. Air Force OC-135 observation plane was flown near Crimea. U.S., Canadian, German, French, UK, Romanian, and Ukrainian observers were all aboard. The last time the United States carried out a similar military exercise was after the Russian invasion of Ukraine 4 years ago, stated the U.S. defense official. The Pentagon branded the flight extraordinary in a statement, saying it took place under the Open Skies Treaty. This accord gives 34 signatory states the right to gather information about the military forces and activities of another one through military observation flight. The official purpose of the treaty is to promote transparency in military activities, but in this case it seems to have been carried out to show support to Ukraine as tensions keep growing with the Kremlin. So definitely a very tense situation all the way from Ukraine to Venezuela. And I will definitely continue to keep you updated. But I would like to move on and talk about the United States and what they were up to this weekend. It is being reported that there were massive military drills in Nevada in preparation for a possible foreign invasion. Express News is reporting that the United States Air Force conducted a huge military drill to simulate a foreign territory invasion over the weekend. The world's most powerful military sent a clear message to the world. The United States is a force to be reckoned with. The drill took place in the southwest region of the U.S. and Nevada. The drill's purpose was to rehearse a foreign invasion scenario. A 21-strong wing of cargo-carrying C-17 and C-130 aircraft were detected flying in a conga-line aircraft tracking platforms have shown. According to the drive, the goal of the mission is to simulate prying open the enemy's back door and setting up combat shop on their lawn as part of an annual drill called Joint Forcible Entry Exercise, JFEX. The drill is designed to prepare service personnel for breaking into contested territory over long distances by surprise and establishing a foothold for expanded operations. Aircraft tracking platforms such as CivMil Air and Aircraft Spots plotted the warplane's conga line movements as they careened across Nevada skies on December 8th. The exercise, which is one of the most complex military drills conducted by the U.S. Armed Forces, is thought to have combined assets of all types, including fighters, surveillance aircraft, electronic warfare platforms, and throngs of ground troops and equipment that are dropped into or dropped off in simulated enemy territory. On November 20th, the U.S. Air Force launched its first Elephant Walk exercise with the $100 million F-35A Joint Strike Fighter Jet, which the service uses to demonstrate its ability to sort large numbers of planes and defeat potential adversaries wherever they may arise. Major Caleb Guthman, the 34th Fighter Squadron Assistant Director of Operations and Exercise Project Officer, said in a statement at the time, "We are ready to fight tonight, and exercising with multiple squadrons of F-35s can demonstrate our ability to defeat potential adversaries wherever they may arise." And that's not all. Reuters is reporting that the U.S. military stated on Tuesday that it successfully tested a key missile defense system, a milestone that demonstrated U.S. capability to knock down any incoming intermediate-range missiles from countries like North Korea. The Missile Defense Agency stated that it was a great significance to the future of multi-domain missile defense operations and supports a critical initial production acquisition milestone for the SM-3 block missile program. In the recent test, a U.S. Air Force C-17 launched an intermediate-range ballistic missile, and the interceptor was launched from the Pacific Missile Range facility in Hawaii. Just in October, the U.S. military said it successfully tracked and intercepted a medium-range ballistic target missile. In August, the Pentagon was given the mandate to pursue more options for defeating U.S.-bound North Korean missiles by using radar and more missiles to spot and shoot down inbound threats. Finally, it reports that the military has been exploring whether the United States can add another layer of defenses to those already in place for intercepting incoming missiles. It definitely seems as if the United States is preparing for something. As well they should, especially in the South China Sea. In fact, it is being reported across several different sources that a Chinese military official has stated that when the United States goes near the South China Sea to do their freedom of navigation drills, that China should attack U.S. naval vessels. At a conference held in Beijing on Saturday, Chinese government and military officials discussed issues in the South China Sea and the current state of relations between the United States and China. Chinese media reports that the situation in the South China Sea is expected to grow more intense over the coming year, with one senior military official also declaring that China should be prepared to attack United States naval vessels should the U.S. violate Chinese territorial waters. In fact, he said the following: "If the U.S. warships break into Chinese waters again, I suggest that 2 warships should be sent, one to stop it and another one to ram it. In our territorial waters, we won't allow U.S. warships to create disturbance," referring to the increasingly regular freedom of navigation operations being carried out by the United States in the South China Sea. The Chinese military official stated he couldn't understand why people in China were afraid of using military force to counter U.S. activity. Most recently, the United States sent 2 naval vessels through the Taiwan Strait 4 days after Taiwan's elections that were held in November, which caused alarm among officials in Beijing. Speaking about Taiwan, the military official even seemed to express anticipation for increasing tension in the South China Sea, emphasizing that China should not fear conflict. He suggested that some manner of provocation in the South China Sea might push China towards military action targeting Taiwan. He said it would boost the speed of our unification of Taiwan. Let's just be prepared and wait. Once a strategic opportunity emerges, we should be ready to take over Taiwan. Another speaker, Huang Jing from the Beijing Language and Culture University, claimed that the U.S. foreign policy was no longer capable of competing with Beijing's and attracting support from other countries in the region. Huang says that Beijing's policy remains firm but flexible in the region, and also expressed his belief that Asian countries were increasingly supportive of Beijing's claims to the South China Sea. He also reportedly made the statement Japan attacked Pearl Harbor after it took control of the South China Sea. So as we watch with bated breath tensions increase between the United States and China, Iran has been busy as well. In fact, the Jerusalem Post is reporting that Iran now has nuclear missiles that can reach parts of Europe. Iran has significantly expanded its missile testing, including a missile that can reach European countries. The increase in tests marks a doubling of the country's test missile launches. The regime tested 4 medium-range and 1 short-range missile in 2017, less than half the number of tests in 2018, according to documentation seen by the newspaper. Iran tested medium-range missiles at least 7 times in 2018, testing short-range and cruise missiles an additional 5 times. 3 variants of the Shabab-3 medium-range missiles were tested. The test was reportedly in violation of the 2015 nuclear accord the country signed with Western powers, from which United States President Trump withdrew in May of 2018. The medium-range missiles tested by the Iranian regime can reach southeastern EU states. The paper also said that the German government, in conjunction with France and the UK, sent a letter to the United Nations Security Council in early October expressing concern about Iran's use of rockets. Finally, it reports in early December, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused the regime of launching a ballistic missile test capable of carrying multiple warheads. Iran's activity has violated the UN Security Council Resolution 2231, which bans Iran from undertaking any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to carry nuclear warheads, a similar charge Pompeo levied against the country. And Iran isn't the only one testing missiles. The Indian military has successfully test-fired its Agni V intercontinental ballistic missile for the third time this year. The domestically built weapon is reportedly capable of reaching targets up to 3,600 miles away. The missile was launched from Abdul Kalam Island off India's eastern coast, the military confirmed. The Monday launch was the 7th test since 2012 and the third one held this year. It goes on finally to report that all 7 tests have been successful. The missile has not yet entered service and no date has been revealed. The Agni V derives from the family of medium to intercontinental range missiles developed by DRDO. The first Agni missile was tested back in 1989, reinforcing India's nuclear triad. Definitely wars and rumors of wars, as well as distress of nations, especially what's happening between the United States and China, as well as Ukraine and Russia. But I will definitely continue to keep you updated as these reports continue to be developed. I just wanted to bring you guys a quick report today and get you caught up on these headlines. Please do leave your comments in the comments section. Tell me what you think about what's happening with these nations. Also, come and visit us on Facebook, where we have these stories and many more, as well as our website at www.cww7news.org. All right, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. God bless.